Here's a strong hook starting with the characters' names for your documentary. 1. Daniel Harper was a trusted school counselor, and Michael Harper was his younger brother. But the deadly secret between them would shock the entire town. Asterisk, asterisk. 2. Daniel Harper returned home like any other evening. Little did he know that Michael Harper had already set a trap he could never escape. 3. When Daniel Harper was found dead, everyone suspected an enemy, but Michael Harper was the last person anyone expected. 4. Daniel Harper dedicated his life to helping others. Yet Michael Harper's hidden plan would turn that life into a deadly puzzle. 5. Daniel Harper's mysterious death seemed impossible to solve until Michael Harper's secrets came to light. If you want, I can create 5, 10 even punchier, ultra-short hooks under 15 words that are perfect for YouTube Shorts or the opening of the documentary. This makes it more viral and clickable. Do you want me to do that? On a quiet autumn morning in the small town of Brookfield, the calm routine of the neighborhood was suddenly broken by flashing police lights outside a modest suburban home. Inside the house, investigators discovered the body of Daniel Harper, a respected school counselor known throughout the community for helping troubled teenagers. The scene immediately raised questions. There were no signs of forced entry, no broken windows, and nothing appeared to be stolen. The house looked almost perfectly normal, except for one disturbing detail. Daniel's phone was lying on the floor in the living room with the battery removed and placed beside it. Neighbors described Daniel as a calm and thoughtful man who rarely caused problems and mostly kept to himself. He had lived in the house for nearly 8 years and had built a reputation as someone people could trust. Students often spoke highly of him, and many parents believed he had changed their children's lives for the better. Because of this, the idea that someone might want to harm him seemed difficult to believe. The timeline quickly became the focus of the investigation. Security records showed Daniel arriving home from work shortly after 6:15 in the evening. Everything appeared normal at first. Then, at exactly 7:02 p.m., the front door sensor recorded the door opening once again. After that moment, the system recorded nothing unusual. No alarms were triggered, and no other doors were opened. Even stranger, no neighbors reported seeing anyone entering or leaving the property. The street cameras from nearby houses showed quiet sidewalks and ordinary evening traffic. It was as if someone had walked into the house, committed the crime, and vanished without leaving a single trace behind. As detectives continued searching Daniel Harper's home, they expected to uncover clues about arguments, threats, or signs of a personal conflict. Instead, what they discovered raised even more questions. Inside Daniel's small home office, investigators found a locked desk drawer. After forcing it open, they uncovered several neatly organized folders. Each one contained printed emails, photographs, and handwritten notes about different people living in Brookfield. At first glance, the material looked like personal research. But the more detectives examined the pages, the stranger the collection became. Each folder focused on a specific person. Some were local business owners, others were teachers, and a few were minor city officials. Daniel had written down dates, locations, and observations about their daily routines. Certain pages even included photographs taken from a distance, as if someone had been quietly watching these individuals for weeks or months. Investigators were puzzled. Daniel was a school counselor, not a journalist or private investigator. No one could explain why he would secretly gather information about so many members of the community. Some of the notes suggested suspicious activities like hidden financial dealings, secret meetings, and unexplained trips outside the city. This discovery led detectives to consider a new possibility. Perhaps Daniel had uncovered something serious and dangerous. If one of the people he had been observing learned about these files, that person might have felt threatened enough to silence him. However, another detail made the situation even more confusing. Several folders were incomplete, with missing pages and unfinished notes. It looked as if Daniel had suddenly stopped working on his research just days before his death, leaving behind a mystery that investigators were only beginning to understand. As the investigation continued, digital forensic experts began examining Daniel Harper's computer, phone records, and online activity. At first, his devices appeared normal. There were school documents, personal emails, and ordinary browsing history related to news and educational material. But deeper analysis revealed something far more unusual hidden beneath the surface. Daniel had been using several anonymous accounts on online forums and private discussion groups. These profiles did not use his real name, and they were created through encrypted email services designed to hide a user's identity. Through these accounts, Daniel had been participating in conversations that discussed illegal activities, underground businesses, and suspicious financial deals happening in nearby cities. What made the situation strange was that Daniel never seemed to participate directly in any criminal discussions. Instead, he mostly asked careful questions and quietly collected information. Investigators noticed that he often saved screenshots and copied long conversations into private folders on his computer. It appeared he was gathering evidence rather than taking part in the activities being discussed. This discovery led detectives to form a new theory. Perhaps Daniel had stumbled upon a hidden network of criminals and had started documenting their operations. If someone from that network realized he was collecting information, they might have decided to stop him before he could reveal anything. However, another discovery made the situation even more mysterious. One of Daniel's anonymous accounts had logged in again several hours after investigators believed he had already died. The login came directly from his home computer. This created a chilling question that detectives struggled to answer. If Daniel was already dead, who had used his computer that night? Investigators began focusing closely on the timeline of Daniel Harper's final hours. Forensic specialists carefully examined the security system records, phone activity, and computer logs to reconstruct exactly what happened that evening. According to the data, Daniel returned home from work around 6:15 p.m. His phone connected to the house Wi-Fi shortly after, confirming he had arrived safely. For nearly 40 minutes, nothing unusual appeared in any of the digital records. Then, at exactly 7:02 p.m., the security system recorded the front door opening. The system did not show any alarm being triggered, which meant the person entering either knew the security code or the system had been unlocked beforehand. Investigators estimated that Daniel died around 7:15 p.m. based on the condition of the scene and early medical observations. That meant whoever entered the house likely encountered him within minutes. However, the timeline became far more confusing when digital experts reviewed the activity on Daniel's computer. The system showed new activity beginning at 8:41 p.m., more than an hour after the estimated time of death. Files were opened, folders were accessed, and one of the anonymous online accounts connected to the internet again. This detail suggested that someone had remained inside the house long after the crime occurred. Yet the security system showed no record of the door opening again. Whoever had been there seemed to leave without triggering any sensors. As detectives looked deeper into the system logs, they noticed something else. Minutes before the door opened at 7:02 p.m., the security system had been accessed remotely through its mobile application, allowing someone outside the house to unlock the door without physically touching it. With the discovery that the security system had been accessed remotely, investigators began examining everyone who might have known how the system worked. They looked at family members, close friends, and anyone who had spent time inside Daniel Harper's home. The list was not very long, but one name quickly drew attention. Daniel's younger brother, Michael Harper, had helped install the security system several months earlier. Because of this, he understood exactly how the system functioned and how it could be controlled through the mobile application. Michael lived only 15 minutes away and had visited Daniel's home many times. Neighbors often saw the brothers together during weekends or family gatherings. According to people who knew them, their relationship seemed normal and friendly. There were no reports of serious arguments or financial disputes between them. When police first spoke with Michael, he appeared shocked and deeply saddened by Daniel's death. However, investigators still needed to verify his movements on the night of the crime. When they checked his phone records and location data, they discovered that Michael's phone had connected to a cell tower close to Daniel's neighborhood during the evening hours. This did not prove he had visited the house, but it showed he had been nearby around the same time Daniel was believed to have died. Michael explained that he had been driving home from work and had taken a different route that evening due to traffic. While this explanation sounded reasonable, the timing did not fully match the security system records. Detectives began to wonder whether Michael knew more about the events of that night than he was willing to admit. As the investigation moved forward, digital forensic specialists returned to Daniel Harper's computer to examine every file more carefully. They searched through hidden folders, deleted documents, and system logs that most users would never notice. During this deeper analysis, they uncovered a detail that immediately changed the direction of the case. Many of the files containing investigations about local residents were not actually created under Daniel's main computer profile. Instead, the metadata revealed that they had been written and edited through a secondary user account on the same device. This account had been created months earlier, but had rarely been noticed during the initial search. When investigators checked the registration details of that profile, they found something unexpected. The username connected to the account matched a nickname often used by Daniel's younger brother, Michael Harper. The discovery raised serious questions. It suggested that Michael had access to Daniel's computer and had used it multiple times over several months. More importantly, several of the documents describing suspicious activities in the town were created during periods when Daniel was confirmed to be at work or away from home. Digital timestamps showed that someone had been quietly building these files late at night. The same account had also searched the internet for unusual topics, such as methods of staging crime scenes, misleading digital evidence, and ways investigators track online activity. This new information made detectives reconsider everything they had believed so far. The secret files about corruption and hidden networks might not have been Daniel's work at all. Instead, it appeared someone else had carefully constructed them, creating a confusing trail of evidence that pointed investigators in the wrong direction. As investigators continued piecing together the events surrounding Daniel Harper's death, they began searching for surveillance footage from nearby businesses and traffic cameras. Most cameras in the neighborhood had not captured anything unusual that evening, but a small gas station located only 2 blocks from Daniel's house provided an important clue. The security camera there had recorded several vehicles passing through the area during the evening hours. When detectives carefully reviewed the footage, they noticed a familiar car parked along the side of the station for nearly an hour. The vehicle belonged to Michael Harper. The timestamp placed the car there during the exact period when Daniel was believed to have died inside his home. Investigators watched the footage repeatedly and observed that the car remained stationary, with Michael sitting inside the driver's seat. He appeared calm, occasionally looking down at his phone for several minutes at a time. At first, the scene seemed harmless, but phone records soon revealed what he had been doing during that period. Data logs showed that Michael's phone had connected remotely to Daniel's home security system and Wi-Fi network multiple times. This discovery forced investigators to reconsider the entire timeline of the crime. If Michael had been sitting in his car 2 blocks away, it meant he had never physically entered Daniel's house that night. Instead, he had remotely accessed the system, unlocking doors and activating devices through the mobile application. The strange door opening recorded at 7:02 p.m. now appeared to be a deliberate action performed from a distance. It seemed someone had intentionally created the appearance that another person had entered the house, building a false trail that investigators had followed for days. As the investigation reached its final stage, detectives focused on one remaining mystery. If Michael Harper had never entered Daniel's house that night, then how had Daniel actually died? The answer began to appear after medical examiners performed a deeper analysis of the forensic evidence. The original examination suggested a violent confrontation, but laboratory testing told a different story. Toxicology results revealed that Daniel had been poisoned several hours before his body was discovered. The substance was slow-acting, allowing him to remain conscious for some time before its effects became fatal. This meant Daniel had likely been exposed to the poison earlier in the day, long before the security system recorded the door opening at 7:02 p.m. Investigators then reviewed Daniel's schedule from that afternoon. Records showed that he had visited Michael's apartment shortly after leaving work. The visit appeared normal at first and lasted less than an hour. However, this meeting now became the most important moment in the entire case. Detectives realized Daniel had most likely consumed the poisoned drink during that visit without realizing it. After returning home, the toxin gradually weakened his body until he eventually collapsed. When Michael later arrived at the house and discovered what had happened, panic took over. Instead of calling for help, Michael began creating an elaborate story to hide his involvement. Using the knowledge he had about the security system and Daniel's computer, he staged confusing digital evidence, fabricated secret investigations, and remotely manipulated the house records. The plan was meant to lead investigators toward mysterious enemies and hidden conspiracies. In reality, the entire complicated mystery had been carefully manufactured to hide a single deadly act committed hours earlier.